Stocks trend upward as we get into week 8 of this shutdown. Can you believe we've been doing this for 2 months? A clip of Larry King Live with allegedly Tara Reid's mother shows up and then suddenly disappears again. We'll talk a bit about that. Some new drugs may be on the way to treat the COVID-19 pandemic. Supply chains may be breaking down, and Kim Jong-un may be dead or alive. Nobody knows, but we'll definitely talk about it. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Thank you, Ron. I hit the cough button because I had a cough, and then I had no audio again. So anyway, let's get back started into what we were saying here before. So it's been a great weekend. You know, the sun is out, everything's happening good. I'm actually gonna link up the link up the restream over to my phone. I've got Streamlabs OBS on there, and we'll do a plant update. I think a little bit later on today. But anyway, this is Contemporary. I'm Jay Edgar. We had a little bit of technical difficulty starting out here, but we got a lot to get to today. And you know, I've been noticing around. There's been some talk about people going up and starting up new businesses. I've seen some plans about some new online stores showing up, and even some people who have plans to build new restaurants and other entrepreneurial ideas. And I predicted that was going to happen. When people were bored at home, they were going to start to find some of their passions and talents, and some of them are going to rise and some of them are going to fall. So we'll talk a bit about that towards the end of the show. But yeah, we've got a lot to get to today. We've got a really full show. But before we get started into anything, make sure you head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for every bit of your news and commentary needs. And I know that you guys are hanging around with a lot of the different shows that we have over there, and I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing for these other creators that are helping us out over there. And I really appreciate the other creators that are over there. We are going to start a new segment over on the Freedom Scoop Media Group. I'm going to host, and we're going to talk. It's going to be called Meet Your Creator. We're going to talk to all the people that are creating over there and let you get to know them. I don't know yet if it's going to be individual, just let everybody know everybody individually, or if I'm going to get the shows together and do it that way. But we are going to get together. We're going to make this happen because it's time that these guys get the recognition that they need. Some of these people you've known for a long time. Some of them you're just going to be meeting. So look for that in the near future. That is going to be hosted on my channel, but I'm going to try and make sure that we get out to everybody else's channel as well. So go over there and check that out. That's going to be a good time. And make sure you check out great shows like The Generational Gap, like Freckles and Brit, Stephen Ignoramus, Wyatt Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and my show as well. Make sure you go and check all of that out over there. It's a great time. We'd love to have you over there. Now, after we had some technical difficulties to start, let's get down into the stocks. So, from Investors Business Daily, we are going to start with Ed Carson's article. Dow Jones Futures signals coronavirus stock market rally on central bank action, easing shutdowns. Dow Jones Futures rose Monday at morning along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures amid central bank action and easing coronavirus shutdowns. The Dow Jones and other major indices lost ground last week, but it was quietly bullish period for the coronavirus stock market rally. Apple stock carved out a handle, Buy point last week on Friday: Tesla stock, AMD stock, Microsoft stock, Alibaba stock, Nvidia stock, and Adobe stock completed new handles. It's a mammoth week for earnings. Earnings season is always a confusing time, but this one is especially murky. So many companies and industries shut down the bulk of their operations due to the coronavirus. How can companies or analysts be expected to predict what earnings will be like in the second quarter, let alone for the full year? Well, it's part of the fun of the stock market and the markets we have in general is nobody can predict them, because one little thing like a flu that got promoted up to biblical proportions could turn around and change all of that in just a half a second. Apple, Microsoft, AMD, and Tesla are all on deck, with AMD earnings likely influencing Nvidia stock. That makes buying any breakouts for those stocks ahead of that big news especially dicey. Nvidia reports May 21st. Alibaba will likely report in mid-May, while Adobe doesn't release until early June. Handles offer a buying opportunity, typically at a lower price. They serve to shake out weak holders just before a breakout, making such moves more likely to succeed. A proper handle must be at least 5 days long on a daily chart or 1 week long on a weekly chart, but they can last several weeks. A valid handle forms in the upper half of a base. It should be flat to downward sloping to encourage weak holders to get out, ideally. The selling should be modest in price and volume, signaling little institutional selling. Sometimes they are wilder, especially in volatile markets. Apple stock, AMD stock, Tesla stock, Nvidia stock, Alibaba stock, and Adobe stock have all formed cupped with handle bases. Microsoft stock has a double bottom base with a handle. AMD stock, Nvidia stock, Adobe stock, and Microsoft stock are all on IBD leaderboard. Microsoft, Adobe, and Alibaba are all on IBD long-term leaders. Apple and Adobe are on Swing Trader. Adobe, Nvidia, Microsoft are on IBD 50. All of these stocks are up modestly in the pre-market. So, looks like everything's going up again. I think a lot of people got rich off of this, and I'm not going to lie about it. And I think that's a good thing, of course, because that's going to buoy up the economy a little bit more. But yeah, they're buying low and they're going to sell high, and that's going to be a great thing. So, we'll see what happens there. Oh, I might have to turn studio lights on if it's going to start getting cloudy out there. I've just been using whatever's coming in from the windows, but looks like we got a little bit of cloud cover coming in. So we'll assess that as we go along. Let's see what is coming from CNBC. From Fred Imbert. Dow futures rise more than 250 points as New York. Other states start to make plans for reopening. Yeah, with everything that happened over this weekend, I couldn't even get to the reopening. So I've got that marked down, and we're going to talk a lot more about that tomorrow. But we'll see what CNBC has to say as far as the markets go. Stocks futures were higher in early Monday morning trading as investors mulled the possibility of reopening the economy after the coronavirus outbreak. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures were up 250 points and implied an opening gain of around 240 points. S&P 500 futures rose about 1% and Nasdaq 100 futures added 1.2%. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said Sunday that the state plans to reopen its economy in phases. The first phase, Cuomo said, would involve New York's construction and manufacturing sectors. As part of the second phase, businesses will need to design plans for a reopening that include social distancing practices and having personal protective equipment available. States, including Alaska, Georgia, and South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas, are beginning to allow restaurants and other establishments to serve customers. Cuomo also noted that coronavirus-related hospitalizations have fallen for 14 days and that virus deaths in New York hit a near 1-month low. Yeah, you notice this is one of the first times you're actually hearing something like that from a mainstream news story. You're not hearing that. You're not hearing the numbers anymore. You're not hearing how many new cases there are, how many new deaths there are. You're not hearing any of that anymore. As various states begin to reopen their economies and relax social distancing rules, we will get a glimpse of what the new normal looks like, said Mark Chaikin, CEO of Chaikin Analytics. I wonder if he's related to Carly Chaikin. She's kind of cute. The biggest risk to the stock market is a premature reopening of the U.S. economy, which results in an increase in COVID-19 cases and requires an abrupt reversal of these efforts to awaken the economy out of its engineered coma. I like that they put that in there, engineered coma. That's amazing. Stocks that would benefit the most from an economic reopening led the way higher on Monday morning. American Airlines, MGM Resorts, and Carnival jumped about 3% in pre-market trading. Gap and Kohl's gained more than 2%. Another drop in oil prices on Monday kept stocks gains in check. The U.S. West Texas Intermediate futures were down more than 16% at $14.13 per barrel. Wall Street's coming off its first weekly decline in 3 weeks as a record plunge in crude prices last Monday and Tuesday sent investors on a wild ride. Both the Dow and the S&P 500 fell over 1% last week, while the Nasdaq Composite dipped 0.2%. Energy stocks were among the biggest losers in pre-market trading on Monday. Still, coronavirus shelter-in-place orders and social distancing guidelines remain Wall Street's number one concern, as rules to keep thousands of businesses closed. Officials have confirmed nearly 3 million COVID-19 cases worldwide, with over 900,000 in the U.S., according to data from Johns Hopkins. The outbreak and subsequent business closures sparked a wave of job losses. Data from the Labor Department shows that more than 26 million people have filed for unemployment benefits over the past 5 weeks. Yeah, there's quite a stark difference between 26 people and 26 million people. Apologize for missing that word in there. To be sure, a decline in the new virus infections and unprecedented monetary and fiscal stimulus have sparked a massive stock market rally from the lows reached March 23rd. Since then, major averages are up more than 20%, with the S&P 500 retracing about half of its decline from a record set February 19th. Investors have also cheered the prospect of Gilead Sciences' remdesivir as a potential treatment for the coronavirus. On April 16th, the Stat News reported patients at a Chicago hospital with severe coronavirus symptoms were quickly recovering after being treated with the drug in a trial. A Financial Times report on Wednesday quelled some of that excitement, however, as it stated remdesivir did not improve patients' conditions during a trial in China. Gilead pushed back on the report and the study it cited, noting the trial was terminated early due to low enrollment, making it underpowered to enable statistically meaningful conclusions. And there's some other drugs out there that they're trying, and we'll talk a bit about that as we go back into the COVID here, but we're going to move on. There's one other thing on the markets that I want to talk about here. General Motors suspends dividend stock buybacks to preserve cash. This is from Michael Wayland. General Motors said Monday it is suspending its quarterly dividend and stock buybacks to preserve cash during the coronavirus pandemic. The automaker also said it has extended $3.6 billion three-year revolving credit facility to April 2022 to help bolster its liquidity. GM said it has taken other significant austerity measures to preserve near-term available cash. GM's annual dividend is $1.52 a share. Shares of GM were down about 2% to $21.47 during pre-market trading Monday. The stock is down 40% this year. Well, your cars become junk over the past few years. Your trucks are uglier than sin, and nobody's buying vehicles anyway. So keep all of that in mind as you think about what we have going forward. GM's U.S. plants have shuttered since mid-March due to COVID-19. The automaker, along with Ford Motor and Fiat Chrysler, are in discussions with the UAW to reopen the plants, but union leaders said last week they oppose an early May restart, which several automakers have announced. GM and Ford are among the only major automakers that have yet to announce a timeframe to restart production. Fiat Chrysler earlier this month announced plans to restart production next Monday. Is the market going to be flooded with Dodge? Because that's going to be crappy. GM's decision to suspend its dividend comes more than a month after Ford did the same and withdrew its 2020 guidance. GM last month suspended its guidance for the year. We continue to enhance our liquidity to help navigate the uncertainties in the global market created by this pandemic. GM Chief Financial Officer Divya Suradevara said Monday in a statement, "Fortifying our cash position and strengthening our balance sheet will position the company to create value for all our stakeholders through this cycle." So, we will see what happens there, but yeah, it looks like, for the most part, and that's one of the problems that I'm going to have with this, of course, is the fact that GM was one of the big takers of the last bailout that we had, not this current one we're working on, but they were too big to fail. So they didn't want them to go, well, and that's part of the problem with that, of course, is that GM is not just doing cars at this point. They are in electric. They have stake in televisions. They have stake in just about every other thing in the world, every other product in the world that you could possibly get your hands on. GM has stake in because that's how they get government to bail them out when they mismanage themselves. We're going to use that as the term there. So, but they're doing whatever they can to preserve cash, so they're hurting a little bit. And like I said, these new models of trucks that they have come out, they are uglier than sin. Their cars have become crap. It's nowhere near the GM of the 90s where you could buy one and drive it forever and then sell it for $1,500. 300,000 miles on it, and they could sell it for $1,500 and someone would buy it because they knew it would keep running. That's what GM was in the 90s, and this what they're doing. And the cars look kind of cool too. And yeah, what they're doing now is just... All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Uncle Sniffendiddle. And we've got 3 stories right in a row from Fox News, so we'll move them right along here. First, Pelosi endorses Joe Biden for president amid development in sexual assault claim. This is from Tyler Olson. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi endorsed Joe Biden for president on Monday morning, becoming yet another high-profile Democrat to publicly back the party's presumptive nominee amid claims he sexually assaulted an aide in the 90s. Biden's campaign has denied the claim. "I'm proud to endorse Joe Biden for president of the United States because he will be an extraordinary president," Pelosi said in the video. "He knows how to get the job done." Pelosi touted Biden's work in the various policy areas, his relationship with former President Barack Obama, and his behind-the-scenes personality and demeanor. "Joe Biden brings values and integrity to work every day because he never forgets his roots," Pelosi said. "Now more than ever, we need a forward-looking, battle-tested leader who will fight for the people." And then she shifted her dentures around again. I don't know if you caught that's what I was doing there, but yeah, she shifted her dentures around again. The Washington Post first reported the endorsement, linking to the video from Biden's YouTube channel. Pelosi did not mention the sexual assault allegation against Biden in her endorsement video. "Gee, I wonder why." She was on CNN with anchor Jake Tapper Sunday and was not asked about the allegations. "Gee, I wonder why." Asked for a comment, Pelosi's office referred Fox News to an April 17th interview with MSNBC in which she was asked if she's satisfied with Biden's denial. "Yes, I am. I'm very much involved in this case. I always want to give the opportunity that women deserve to be heard, and I'm satisfied with his answer, yes." Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has not commented on the allegation against Biden, and neither have most of the women considered to be on Biden's shortlist for vice presidential picks for the Democratic National Committee. So we will see what happens there, and of course, since so many people in this country worship Pelosi, this is supposedly a big deal for Biden, so we'll see what happens going on to there. Let's move on. Clip surfaces of Biden accuser Tara Reade's mother phoning into Larry King Live in 1993, alluding to the claim. This is from Joseph A. Wolfson over at Fox News, and I actually picked this up on Saturday. I found this while I was looking through the news, and I threw it in the Discord right away, and I'm glad that I did, because I guarantee you, had I not put the link up there, I would not have been able to find this come this morning. But this is from Joseph A. Wolfson. A resurfaced clip of Larry King Live from 1993 appears to include the mother of Tara Reade, who has accused Joe Biden of past sexual assault while in the Senate, alluding to problems her daughter faced while working as a staffer for the then U.S. Senator from Delaware. In a telephone interview with Fox News on Friday night, Reade confirmed that her mother called into the show. Biden's presidential campaign has adamantly denied Reade's allegations, but the video could be cited as evidence supporting Reade's allegation. Even though her late mother in the clip does not specifically refer to a sexual assault claim. The Intercept on Friday first reported the transcript from a broadcast on August 11, 1993, of a woman from San Luis Obispo County, California, calling into the show about her daughter's experience on Capitol Hill. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello, King begins. Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was to go to the press, and she chose not to do that out of respect for him, the caller says. In other words, she has a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it, King inquires. That's true, the woman responds before King cuts away to a panel to discuss her claim. The woman was Jeanette Altemus, Reed's mother, Reed told outlets, including Fox News. Later Friday, the Media Research Center found the clip in its archives matching the information provided by The Intercept. Reed took to Twitter confirmed that it was her mother who called into Larry King Live. This is my mom. I miss her so much and her brave support of me, Reed tweeted about her mother who died in 2016. Reed's story first resurfaced in an article in The Intercept on March 24th. Podcast host Katie Halper then interviewed Reed, who said that in 1993, a more senior member of Biden's staff asked her to bring the then senator his gym bag near the U.S. Capitol building, which led to the encounter in question. He greeted me, he remembered my name, and then we were alone. It was the strangest thing, Reed told Halper. There was no exchange really, he just had me up against the wall. And we've read this enough times, and I know that occasionally there are kids watching, but yeah, we know what happened. He pushed her up against the wall, he banged her, and that was that. So the clip is up there, and once again, none of this is going to pass reasonable doubt. None of this at all is going to pass reasonable doubt, but remember, Biden says believe all women. And that's the most important part. The most important thing you can do is believe all women. Unless it's a woman that's making an allegation against you, of course, but do I think this is going to go anywhere? No. Do I think that Biden's going to go to prison for this? No. Do I think that it shows some corruption in the media machine and the DNC? Oh, hell yes. But unfortunately, that clip has disappeared. Let's see what else comes from Fox News. CNN Larry King episode featuring Biden accuser's mother disappears from Google Play catalog. This is also from Joseph A. Wolfson. In the 1993 episode of CNN's Larry King Live featuring an anonymous caller who was later identified as the mother of Biden accuser Tara Reid was no longer listed in Google Play's catalog late Saturday. Twitter user J.L. Hamilton shared a screenshot showing the August 11, 1993 broadcast of Larry King Live was no longer listed in the Season 3 catalog of the iconic CNN talk show. Mysteriously, though, the August 10th broadcast, which is listed as episode 154, is followed by the August 12th broadcast, which is listed as episode 155, suggesting that episode and the ones that follow could be incorrectly listed and off by a number. Yeah, okay. Fox News later verified the August 11th episode is not listed on the streaming service. It is unclear when it was removed from the catalog. Yeah, unclear. That's the word we're going to go with. Fox News reached out to CNN and Google for comment. Fox News also reached out to the representation of Larry King and have not received a response. On Sunday afternoon, CNN provided as a statement a reply tweet from CNN communications spokesperson Matt Dornick, who denied that the network removed anything from Google Play, calling the allegation from Hamilton BS. Listings on the site are not sourced through CNN. Click any episode, it will say not available to watch, Dornick added in the reply to the Twitter user. Hamilton later deleted the tweet, which included the screenshot from the Google Play page. Fox News was told that CNN did not license the Larry King Live content that appeared on Google Play, and Google controlled the episode listings. A source told Fox News that Larry King Live was never available on Google Play, and its entire catalog was listed there for users to add to their wish list, so they could be notified if the program became available later. A resurfaced clip of the Larry King Live from 1993 appeared to include the mother of Tara Reid, who has accused Joe Biden of past sexual assault while Biden served in the Senate, alluding to problems her daughter faced while working as a staffer for the then U.S. Senator from Delaware. Man, I gotta oil this chair. In a television interview with Fox News Friday night, Reid confirmed that her mother called into the show. Biden's presidential campaign has adamantly denied Reid's allegation, but the video could be cited as evidence supporting Reid's allegation, even though her late mother in the clip does not specifically refer to a sexual assault victim. And we go back into what we read in the last article. So, they are saying, of course, that the episode was there, that it wasn't there, and I checked in there, and I can't find it in there anywhere, but yeah, it's interesting that this has come down, and from what I've read from other outlets, that's come down from YouTube and several other outlets as well. I wonder if it's on BitChute. Maybe I can go and grab it from there, because I would like to put it on Eddsworld tonight, if I possibly could, but yeah, this is definitely looking like a major cover-up here and getting a lot of people involved with it. I don't want to throw the tinfoil on, but I mean, you can only work with the evidence that's sitting in front of you. So we will have to look in that and watch what happens there. All right, I've got one from the Discord that was provided to me from Midget B. We'll talk a bit about some drugs that could possibly help ease the pain of the coronavirus. So let's start with this from NASDAQ.com. AYTU Bioscience signs exclusive global license with Cedars-Sinai for potential coronavirus treatment. A2 Bioscience Incorporated, the company, a specialty pharmaceutical company focused on commercializing novel products that address significant patient needs, announced today that it has signed an exclusive worldwide license from Cedars-Sinai to develop and commercialize the Helite platform technology. This medical device technology platform, discovered and developed by scientists at Cedars-Sinai, is being studied as a potential first-in-class treatment for the coronavirus and other respiratory infections. The company will host a live conference call and webcast Tuesday, April 21st at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And I do realize this is a week old, so conference call's details are provided at the end of this press release. Led by Mark Pimentel, MD, the research team of the Medically Associated Science and Technology program at Cedars-Sinai has been developing the patent-pending Helite platform since 2016 and has produced a growing body of scientific evidence demonstrating preclinical safety and effectiveness of the technology as an antiviral and antibacterial treatment. The Helite technology employs a proprietary methods of administering intermittent ultraviolet UV, a light via a novel endotracheal medical device. Preclinical findings indicate the technology's significant impact on eradicating a wide range of viruses and bacteria, inclusive of coronavirus. The data have been the basis of discussions with the FDA for a near-term path to enable human use for the potential treatment of the coronavirus in intubated patients in the intensive care unit beyond the initial pursuit of a coronavirus ICU indication. This is a very dense article. Additional data suggest a broader clinical application for the technology across a range of viral and bacterial pathogens. This includes bacteria implicated in ventilator and associated pneumonia. So this is huge, and the article is in the Discord already. Midget B gave it to me over there. But later on in the week, they were mocking Trump for, of course, the injection of bleach comments, and we talked a bit about that on Friday, and we'll talk just a little bit more about that coming up later on tonight over on Eddsworld. But they were also mocking the fact that Trump had said stick a light bulb up the ass or down the throat to use the light to kill the virus. And it turns out on Monday, Cedars-Sinai had already patented a method to do this. So they're basically being afraid of what the media tells them to be afraid of, and this is something that's already been discussed and in the works. And thank you, Midget B, for bringing this out here. But yeah, we need to look into this, and this is something that we could possibly be doing. And once again, as we all know now, that there are other chemicals that we put in the body to disinfect the body that aren't Lysol or Clorox, but yes, we are actually legitimately looking at putting UV lights into the body to try and take down some of these viruses. So remember that when somebody says something about a Clorox injection. Another one here from CNN. New York hospitals are studying a common heartburn drug as treatment for COVID-19. This is from Elizabeth Cohen. Hospitals in New York are giving COVID-19 patients heartburn medicine to see if it helps fight the virus, according to a doctor who initiated the trial. Excuse me for a moment. Preliminary results in the clinical trial of famotidine, the active ingredient in Pepcid, could come out in the next few weeks, said Dr. Kevin Tracy, president of the Feinstein Institute for Medical Research at Norwell Health, which runs 23 hospitals in the New York City area. So far, 187 patients have enrolled in the clinical trial, and Northwell eventually hopes to enroll 1,200, he said. There are many examples in the history of medicine where a drug that was designed for one purpose turns out to have an effect on another disease, Tracy said, which is where we wound up in the chloroquine argument to begin with, by the way. He said if the famotidine works, and that's a big if at this point, it would be easy to use on a widespread scale. It's generic, it's plentiful, and it's inexpensive, he said, but he emphasized that it might not work. We don't know if it has any benefit. We really don't. I swear we don't, he said. People are hoping for anything, but we need to do this clinical trial. He emphasized that patients in the study are in the hospital taking megadoses intravenously, doses about 9 times what somebody would normally take for heartburn. You should not go into the drugstore and take a bunch of heartburn medicine, he said. Tracy and his colleagues got the idea to study famotidine after it was observed that some patients in China taking the drug fared better than patients not taking the drug. He said the studies in the Chinese patients have not yet been published, but that Dr. Michael Callahan, an infectious disease specialist at the Massachusetts General Hospital who worked with coronavirus patients in China, observed that some people with lower incomes were surviving longer than their wealthier counterparts who also had heartburn. When Callahan and the Chinese doctors looked closer, they found that many of the people with lower incomes were taking famotidine, whereas wealthier patients tended to take a different, more expensive drug. The poor peasants really seem to do well on the famotidine, Tracy said. There are a lot of anecdotes passing around that give us some hope. Callahan could not be reached for comment. The famotidine study was first reported in Science magazine, so that's the same thing that we're looking at with the chloroquine. We saw some very, very optimistic results from people that were taking it for their anti-malaria or other conditions, and they seem to be doing well, better than people who weren't taking it. So that led to people trying to study it, and this was also in France, not just in the US, but then of course it led the president to get hopeful, and you know what they say. If the president came out in favor of air, liberals would hold their breath. And that goes the same with the mainstream media. Let's move on. This is from the Daily Wire. China threatens Australia if it pushes for investigation over coronavirus, report says. This is from Ryan Savadra. The Chinese Communist Party has reportedly threatened Australia over its push for an investigation into China's handling of the coronavirus. Ambassador Cheng Jingye on Monday said the push was dangerous and could encourage Chinese citizens to not purchase Australian exports or travel to the nation, Sky News Australia reported. The government, however, is not backing down from the call for an independent inquiry, with Foreign Minister Marise Payne criticizing the threat of an economic hit due to the push. Sky News Australia reporter Tom Connell said that Australian politicians were united in their push for a global independent investigation into the coronavirus, which originated in China. China's response, of course, has been to push back, and the stakes did increase today from the Chinese ambassador in this interview with the Australian Financial Review, Connell said. China. In the interview, Chinese ambassador to Australia Cheng Jingye admitted that China's response to the pandemic has not been perfect. On the matter of Australia siding with the U.S. on wanting an investigation into China, Cheng said, "It's kind of pandering to the assertions that are made by some forces in Washington." There it is. Over a certain period of time, some guys are attempting to blame China for their problems and deflect the attention. So what is being done on the Australian side, Cheng continued? The proposition is a kind of teaming up with those forces in Washington and to launch a kind of political campaign against China. China. The Chinese public is frustrated, dismayed, and disappointed with what Australia is doing now, Cheng continued. I think in the long term, if the mood is going from bad to worse, people would think, why should we go to such a country that is not so friendly to China? The tourists may have second thoughts. The parents of the students would also think whether this place, which they found is not so friendly, even hostile, whether this is the place to send their kids, Chen continued. It's up to the people to decide. Maybe the ordinary people will say, why should we drink Australian wine? Eat Australian beef? Well, because you're running out of everything else. China has aggressively sought to squash criticism of its handling of the outbreak, which originated in Wuhan, and had success against the weak European leaders that cowered to China's demands, the New York Times reported last week. So, I would love to see this investigation, and I think we have earned it. I think we deserve it. I would really love to see Australia push it, because that throws shade in the face of anybody who says that this is just a U.S. thing against China. But we will see what happens. This would be an interesting investigation to look into. China. All right, speaking of the coronavirus, we will look at some of the aid that came out. AOC slammed by New York paper for voting against the latest stimulus bill. This is from Edmund DeMarch over at Fox News. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was criticized on an editorial Sunday that called her decision to vote against the $484 billion coronavirus relief package terribly wrong. The New York Daily News' editorial enemy of the good, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez makes the wrong choice, pointed out that the rising star from New York's 14th congressional district was the sole Democrat who voted against the bill. Not the kind of distinction a rising star legislator should be proud of, the paper wrote. The editors took issue with her claim that the bill did not go far enough. The progressive lawmaker said the bill left out any real aid for Americans struggling to pay rent or purchase necessities, including food, after being left jobless or stranded due to the virus. No, that's what the unemployment is for. You simple-minded simpleton. My concern is that we're giving away the farm, Ocasio-Cortez said. I cannot go back to my communities and tell them just to wait for CARES 4 because we've now passed 4 pieces of legislation that's related to the coronavirus. And now every time it's the next one and the next one and the next one, and my constituents are dying. The paper found the argument unsound. Yeah, the first aid bill didn't go far enough, the editorial read, nor did the second, nor did the third. The fourth didn't get there either, but the response to crises happened in steps. If everyone said no to each massive package because it didn't go all the way, we'd all be even deader in the water. That is 100% true. And that's why I said at first, just do a simple bill and do your pet projects in the next one. When the third CARES Act, I should say, came out, I said, just do your pet projects to the network. Get these checks out to people so they can go and get food, stimulate the economy, and get everything else moving. Worry about diversity and everything else in the next one. Argue over that one, but get these checks out first. And yeah, now they're worrying about pet projects and not going far enough. So thank you, Fox News, and thank you to New York Daily News. Let's look at the supply chains. The food supply chain is breaking, Tyson says, as plants close. This is from Rob McLean. And this is something that's very important because I know that there was a lot of talk about farmers throwing out food and why they couldn't send them out to just the food banks as is. But, I mean, this food needs to get processed before it can go to the food banks. You can't just send a bunch of gutted chickens and raw milk out to these places. So we need to look at the link in the chain. This is from Rob McLean over at CNN Business. Tyson Foods is warning that millions of pounds of meat will disappear from the supply chain as the coronavirus pandemic pushes food processing plants to close, leading to product shortages in grocery stores across the country. The food supply chain is breaking, wrote board chairman John Tyson in a full-page advertisement published Sunday in the New York Times, a Washington Post, and Arkansas Democrat Gazette. U.S. farmers don't have anywhere to sell their livestock, he added, that millions of animals, chickens, pigs, and cattle, will be depopulated because of the closure of our processing facilities. There will be limited supply of our products available in grocery stores until we are able to reopen our facilities that are currently closed, Tyson wrote. Tyson Foods, which employs roughly 100,000 workers, closed its pork plants in Waterloo, Iowa, and Logansport, Indiana, last week so that workers in those facilities could be tested for the virus. The Waterloo plant closure came after weeks of public pressure production had already slowed there because many of its 2,800 workers had been calling out sick, and local health authorities linked the Tyson plant to 182 cases, nearly half the country's total or county's total. CNN recently spoke to 3 employees who work at the facility who expressed ongoing concerns that not enough was being done to protect them from COVID-19. One worker said that practicing social distancing inside the facility was nearly impossible to do. Asked by CNN about those claims, Tyson Foods says that plants were sanitized daily, and Tyson, the chairman, wrote in Sunday's advertisement that the company has taken steps to protect its workers, including taking their temperature and requiring face masks in all of its facilities. Well, that should be going on regardless. You should be wearing face masks even when we're not in a pandemic. You're in a food processing plant. He added that the company is paying out bonuses to frontline workers and truckers, as well as donating food in local communities. Some of the country's largest abattoirs, processing plants, or slaughterhouses have been forced to cease operations temporarily after thousands of employees across the country have tested positive for the virus. Pork processing plants have been hit especially hard, with 3 of the largest in the United States going offline indefinitely. Smithfield Foods in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, JBS Pork Processing in Worthington, Minnesota, and the Tyson plant in Waterloo, Iowa. Together, the 3 plants account for approximately 15% of pork production. That's sad. I really do like Smithfield. I really do. But we will see what happens out of there, of course. And one thing you should keep in mind, and I've been really bad about this and I need to fix that, is you should be getting your meat from a local meat shop, not necessarily the grocery store. I have been really bad about this, and I will admit, but I'm going this week, this coming weekend, and in the coming weeks, and even after the pandemic is over, I'm going to try and start changing that because, yes, we need to be supporting local business and not getting so much processed food out of the stores and actually getting stuff, raw food, and cooking it up that way. And that's going to be one of the best places you can get your raw meat is to go to the local meat market rather than going to the grocery store. Make some of your stuff from scratch rather than just throwing that chicken patty in the oven or other stuff like that. It's probably way better for you too. But yeah, it's something we've been warning about from the beginning. Supply chains are going to be key to this. We saw it from the toilet paper, we saw it from the eggs, we saw it from the flour, we saw it from everything else that people were panic buying throughout the pandemic, and now we're starting to see it in some of our other foods. So keep that in mind and possibly stock up on some pork because it might be going up at this point. All right, this is one that I saw on Saturday and just disgusted me. This is also from CNN. CNN and Sesame Street will host a special coronavirus town hall for kids and parents by CNN staff. CNN is partnering with Sesame Street for a special town hall Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time about coronavirus, focused on kids and parents. The ABCs of COVID-19, a CNN Sesame Street town hall for kids and parents, will tackle issues including education, anxiety, and screen time and playdates. The 90-minute town hall will feature experts and Sesame Street characters, including Elmo, Abby Cadabby, Rosita, and Grover. Okay, I may be getting old, but 2 of those names I don't recognize. Who the hell is Abby Cadabby and who the hell is Rosita? Answering questions submitted by families. Big Bird will join CNN Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta, of course, and CNN anchor and national correspondent Erica Hill to moderate the event. The town hall will air on CNN, CNN International, and CNN in Espanol. It will stream live on CNN.com's homepage and across mobile devices via CNN's apps without requiring a cable login. You can also watch on CNN Go, and subscribers to cable satellite systems can watch it on demand. Parents can send in their questions below along with their full names and phone number. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Jesus Christ. That's dumb. Full names and phone numbers. Yeah, okay. So this looks like this was just a data harvesting item for CNN to see who their ratings and what their ratings were. But also, yeah, we can't inject the fear porn into the arms of the adults anymore. So let's aim it at the kids. Let's make sure they're going to bed afraid of everything as we go along here. I saw this on Saturday morning, and I saw this on the news while it was going on, and I just said, you got to be fucking kidding me. You have got to be dicking with me with this. But no, they actually put it off, and I haven't seen any of the video from it. It kind of disappeared out of the news again. But man, indoctrinate the kids. Indoctrinate those kids. You've got to do it that way. So they grow up to be afraid of everything that CNN tells them to be afraid of. All right, let's get out of that before I start ranting. From the Daily Wire, from Daily Wire News, Tlaib, your gut feeling on coronavirus probably much more credible than government task forces. Yeah, because I said this was going to be a giant nothing burger from the beginning. But you told me that my gut feeling was wrong. Representative Rashida Tlaib told MSNBC's Joy Reid on Sunday that viewers at home should follow their gut feeling on matters related to the coronavirus pandemic because their gut feeling was probably much more credible than what you might see coming out of various administrations. Yeah, various administrations. Yeah, okay. Tlaib made the remarks during a segment on AM Joy while talking about her state's restrictions during the lockdown, which have been led by Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Of the things I admire about the governor is I know she's listening to the health experts, the doctors. Those folks are the ones leading these policies, Tlaib said, to talk about a little bit about, something called, or so-called loosening up. I'm not sure how they made that decision, but I know this much. Many of our folks, and I tell you, my 13 district strong residents, if you're afraid to go to work, do not go to work. It's like I said to AOC, there's somebody else waiting for that job. So, yes, Rashida, you are leading your people into destitution while people will gladly take those jobs, especially if they're 2 months behind on the mortgage. Keep all of that in mind as you're going forward. I know this is hard, but you have every right to make sure your life is put first and to fight back. I don't care if it's labor organizing this late in the game or if it's demanding your life's not treating as if it's disposable. But I want you not to be afraid to go to work, Tlaib continued. You should never at all ever feel like, I don't care if it's a president. I don't care who it is that tells you we need you to go back and we need you to start back with the economy and everything. Your life is so much more important. So I always tell my residents when they call, like, Rashida, they're making us do this, making us do that. I said, do you feel safe? If you don't feel safe, you don't have to go to work. Nobody's making you go back to fucking work. Nobody is making you go back to work. We are opening things up so you have the option to do that. So people like me, well, I haven't missed a day of work yet, but so people like me can get some customers back in and my work can be justified again. So people don't have to worry about being laid off. So people can make that rent payment. And like I said, there are people waiting in the wings for those jobs. So if you don't want to go to work, your boss will find somebody else to do it. If you don't want to go to work, then don't go to work. Stay home, cower in fear from a virus that's little more than flu-like, and let somebody else have that job. Yes, there are going to be consequences, and that's what Rashida Tlaib is getting at. She doesn't want there to be consequences for people who don't want to go to work. Well, that's not how things run. So, yeah, if you don't want to go to work, then don't go to work. But don't be surprised when you don't have that job waiting for you when you get back. And, folks are going to push back on me about this, but I want you to put yourselves in their places, Tlaib continued, later adding, I urge a lot of my neighbors and other folks that have called me and reached out to me and said, I don't feel safe. I want you to organize with your coworkers and demand that your life is put first and that your health is put first. I would push back no matter what these decisions and other folks on the task force being put back together. Your gut feeling. Follow that. It's probably much more credible than what you might see coming out of various administrations. There was no pushback from the MSNBC host against Tlaib instructing viewers to follow their gut feeling on the matters related to the coronavirus rather than listen to public health experts. Yeah, like I said, my gut feeling I was told that I wanted to die and I wanted grandma to die when I followed my gut feeling, but yeah, Tlaib's constituents need to get to follow their guts. All right, let's see. Let's talk about Kim Jong-un. And I've got one from Fox and one from CNN here. So from Travis Fedshun over at Fox News, Kim Jong-un sends thanks to workers at North Korean tourist zone and amid health rumors. Kim Jong-un expressed appreciation on Monday to workers building a tourism zone in the region of North Korea where his signature train was recently spotted on satellite photos as worldwide speculation swirls over his health. North Korean state media relayed the message of thanks from the dictator in a news bulletin, with no other mention of Kim's activities or health condition. Respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un has sent his thanks to the workers and officials at the construction site of the Wonsan Kalma Tourist Resort, a newsreader said on Korean Central Broadcasting Station. A similar report was carried in the Rodong Sinmun, the North's main newspaper, according to South Korea's Yonhap news agency. No images or video were released of the Hermit Kingdom's leader to go along with the report. The news bulletin came as the world awaits the status of Kim, who is believed to be 36, after he missed an April 15 commemoration of the 108th birthday of his grandfather, North Korean founder Kim Il-sung, and unverified reports have emerged about his health. On Monday, a top South Korean official said the country remains confident there have been no unusual developments in North Korea. Unification Minister Kim Young-chul told a closed-door forum in Seoul on Sunday that South Korea has enough intelligence to confidently say there will be no unusual developments that would back up speculation about Kim's health, according to his ministry. The minister said he would not reveal what specific intelligence led to the conclusion, but stressed that it had undergone a complex analysis. The comments came the day after a key aide of the president of South Korea insisted to Fox News that Kim was alive and well. Our government position is firm, Chung In-moon, foreign policy advisor to South Korean President Moon Jae-in, told Fox News. Kim Jong-un is alive and well. He has been staying in the Wonsan area since April 13th. No suspicious movements have so far been detected. Satellite photos released on Saturday echo South Korean government intelligence that Kim is staying outside the capital, Pyongyang. The photos released by 38 North, a Washington-based website specializing in North Korea studies, show that activity has increased in the resort town of Wonsan in April. So this is among the fact that Vox came out and BuzzFeed came out, both saying that Kim Jong-un had passed, that he was officially dead. We saw those reports this weekend. And now, of course, we're coming out and saying that, yes, he is absolutely alive and well, and there was a point where people were saying that he had a botched heart surgery, that he was dead, that he was brain dead, at which point I commented on Twitter that if he's brain dead, then he can come back and run for representative of New York 14. But yeah, we don't know what's going on over there. We haven't seen the guy yet, but there's no reason to believe that he's dead. Until I see his casket rolling out, I'm not going to believe that he's dead. There's a lot of tinfoil that goes along with this government. There's a lot of tinfoil that goes along with the North Korean government. And until we're actually sitting at the funeral, and even after that, I wouldn't even believe that he's dead. Or alive at that point. It's Schrodinger's Kim Jong-un. All right, let's move on to the CNN article from this. Amid mounting speculation, South Korea says Kim Jong-un is alive and well. This is from Will Ripley, Jake Kwan, and Sophie Zhang and Tara John over at CNN. South Korea continued to pour water on mounting speculation about the health of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un, telling CNN he is alive and well. Excuse me. Our government position is firm, Moon Chung-in, the top foreign policy advisor to South Korean President Moon Jae-in, told CNN. Kim Jong-un is alive and well. He's been staying in the Wonsan area since April 13th. No suspicious movements have so far been detected. Questions were raised about Kim's well-being after he missed the celebration of his grandfather's birthday on April 15th. He had been seen 4 days before that at a Politburo meeting, according to North Korean state media KCNA. CNN reported earlier in the week that the United States is monitoring intelligence that Kim is in grave danger after a surgery. According to a U.S. official, another U.S. official told CNN Monday that the concerns about Kim's health are credible, but their severity is hard to assess. It is followed by Daily NK, an online newspaper based in South Korea, that focuses on North Korea that Kim reportedly received cardiovascular procedure because of excessive smoking, obesity, and overwork. It added that the leader is now receiving treatment in a village in Yongsan County. After assessing that Kim's condition had improved, most of the medical team treating him returned to Pyongyang on April 19th, while some of them remained to oversee his recovery. According to the news site, CNN is unable to independently confirm this report. So, and that goes along with this. I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise to me to find out that he had heart trouble or major heart surgery, because he's a chunky little dude and he smokes a whole bunch, and he's had U.S. nukes pointed at him for 3 years. That kind of stress would kill anybody, but I mean, he's available to get the best doctors, and they've definitely got incentive to treat him right. Save my life, or you're going to the gulag, or you're going to die yourself. And we do have that praying mantis waiting in the wings to take his place as well. There's a good chance that she might off him just to get the power. I know there was a lot of speculation that she was going to come to power after all of this, after there was confirmation that he was dead, even though apparently he's not dead. But yeah, that's going to be the story to watch over there. I mean, we haven't talked about North Korea for a while. Hey, maybe we'll get back into the nuclear showdown again. Who knows? All right, I got one more here before we go back into my faith in humanity. So, this is breaking from last night. Duck Dynasty star Willie Robertson's estate targeted with gunfire, family says. This is from Frank Miles. Louisiana estate of the Duck Dynasty family was the target of a drive-by shooting of 8 to 10 shots on Friday afternoon, according to a report. We were pretty shook up, the reality TV and outdoor star Willie Robertson said on Sunday interview with USA Today Network. It looks like they were just spraying bullets across my property. It was broad daylight, Robertson said. No one was injured. One of the shots went through a bedroom window and was lodged in the wall. No suspects have been named, but he believes his family was targeted. I'm 100% certain, but I don't know why, he said. He noted that many of his family are staying with him during the coronavirus pandemic. Come on, scroll. His daughter, Sadie Robertson, took to Instagram to confirm the report. Yes, the news is true if you've seen it. We've had someone shoot at our property. Just wanted to say we're all okay. It shook us all up, of course, but we're just so thankful everyone in our family is okay, especially after one of the bullets flew through the window of my brother's home. The timing of where we were at this time was crazy protection because we had all just gone inside. We had been resting on Psalm 91 and each other's gratitude for all being okay. Thank you for your prayers. The Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office is investigating a white over brown or beige Ford F-250 with a large aftermarket tires and rims seen around the property before the 2:33 p.m. shooting. So that's a little bit scary, and of course, I mean, the Duck Dynasty guys came under a lot of fire because the show was about making fun of people who were rednecks, who were faithful people, and who had a lot of money. But it wound up becoming hugely popular among the right wing, and that might have been part of what led to the Tea Party rising up, that led to the end of the progressive politics as such they were, and possibly even to Trump being elected at this point. The popularity from these Christian values coming back up, part of that can be attributed to Duck Dynasty. It was wildly popular. It was a great show. I loved watching it when it was new. I don't know if I could go back and watch it again, but I did love watching it when it was still being broadcast out there. So, and I mean, there are a lot of reasons for people to be mad at these people. I mean, they're big businessmen. They've got a lot of money. It's a great big target, and they're high profile. So, my heart goes out to the Robertson family, and I hope everybody's alive and well. And with that, we are going to move on to what restores my faith in humanity. So, one of the things that I've been noticing, and I mentioned it at the top of the show, is the fact that people in this country are entrepreneurial. This seems to be a recurring theme for what restores my faith in humanity, but people are definitely entrepreneurial. There are restaurants, there are stores, there are businesses that are not going to come back from the coronavirus pandemic. It's just what's going to happen. But there are people waiting in the wings. to take up those businesses and put the people back to work, to make new products, to make better products, to improve the economy as such that it works. And they've come in with different ideals. They come in with different backgrounds, different level of capital. There's so many different things that they can bring to the market. And even if one single business doesn't go under, these people are still going to be out there realizing their passions and their dreams. And they're going to take the time and they're going to move that into improving the economy, improving the GDP, and improving this country as the whole. And I'm looking very forward to seeing what comes out of this. I see clothing lines coming up out of this. I see more news websites coming up out of this, which they're my competition, and I shouldn't be happy about that, but I am definitely happy about that because that gives me the opportunity to make my product better. I see restaurant ideas. I see bakers that are getting in there, that are baking everything that they can to try and get the practice to do so. I see a lot of this small business spirit. I think a lot of these people are going to come out of these corporate jobs and they're just going to leave them. They don't want to do them anymore. This is going to open up the door for other people to go into these corporate jobs, but the entrepreneurial spirit is going to lead people also to, want to go out and hire somebody, a baker, a cook, a waiter. We're going to come out of this better than we were. That's been something I've been saying for a while. And the mainstream media has been trying to tell you that this is going to be the biggest depression in the world. And people are going to die. And nobody's going to survive this. And we're going to be locked in our homes forever. You're never going to be able to buy and sell again. And that is just not the case. That's not the American way. And that's definitely not the Midwest way. We make stuff in the Midwest. We make stuff in places like Wisconsin and Missouri and Minnesota. Even as far down as Oklahoma and Louisiana. We make stuff in this country. New York City is a managerial hub, but for the most part, they're managing people that are making stuff. We make stuff in this country, and we make stuff happen. People being at home is definitely showing their creative side, and is definitely showing their passion. People are looking for ways to make the extra money because they lost their supply chain and their primary way of making money. They're sitting on unemployment, but they're learning things. They're learning new skills, and they're making stuff because that's what we do. And that is what restores my faith in humanity. We will be back here later on tonight with Libertarian presidential candidate Adam Kokesh. He'll be sitting down with me for a couple hours and discussing the news and the real way that the Libertarian Party can lead in a pandemic like this and how they would take the country if we were in a place like this. It's going to be a great conversation. Adam Kokesh is a great guy, so I'm looking definitely forward to coming and talking about that. Make sure that you get your questions in, so we can read them between topics because we love to hear from you, and I'm sure that a lot of people have a lot of things to ask Mr. Kokesh, so make sure you're there. That is going to be at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you're there and make sure you're in the live chat. Other than that, we will be back here tomorrow with more contemporary and tomorrow night with more Ed's World Gaming, so make sure you're there for that. And we will be having an Ed Talk this weekend, but I'm not sure when because it is my birthday weekend and I do have some plans for Saturday. We might have a Sunday Ed Talk. That would be nice. Just get everybody together on a Sunday, talk about some things. Maybe we'll talk some religion on Sunday too. We'll see. But definitely we will go and check that out. Make sure you check us out tonight. Other than that, we'll be back here tomorrow. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.